you should only really be cooking in 10-inch pots and pans. Today, we're gonna put together a 4 or 5 course meal that is made entirely with only a 10-inch pan and a 10-inch pot. With a smaller number of pots and pans, with a certain amount of consistency, and just a lot of strategic planning and innovation, you can produce a huge amount of flavor, different dishes, cut down on your cooking time, cut down on your cleaning time, only using 10-inch cookware. My name is Lucasin. I'm the chef of Junzi Kitchen. Making 4 dishes today. We're gonna steam meatloaf, we're gonna stir-fry cauliflower with a little bit of Chinese sausage, we're gonna make a vine, spinach, and dace soup, and then we're gonna braise tofu. 4 different dishes, 4 different cooking methods, but just 2 pans. It's the same 10-inch pan, but you're cooking multiple things in those same pans. People look at a frying pan and they tell themselves that they can only fry in them, but really, you can also be braising at them. People look at a 10-inch pot and they think to themselves they can only boil in here, but you can steam, you can blanch. The wonderful thing is, because all of our pans are 10 inches, the lid is absolutely interchangeable. Cauliflower is going to go inside of the pot. It's going to blanch for about 30 seconds or so. Take the cauliflower out, then this is going to become steaming liquid. Just going to chill this down to stop that cooking process, obviously. See this? Water. This becomes suddenly a steamer, like that. Second dish, still the same pot. Heat is on, fully cranked. Over here in the pot, water's boiling, which means that the meatloaf can go in. As the meatloaf is sitting inside of the steamer, we're going to pour a generous amount of oil into our carbon steel pan. Turn the heat down a little, start searing the tofu. Once the tofu is seared off, we're gonna start adding our aromatics and then our sauce, and this will become a braise. This whole process for the tofu is probably gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes, which is exactly how long the meatloaf takes to cook. It smells amazing. And guess what? Now is about the time when I ask myself, in order to speed up the cooking time, I need to increase the temperature of the pan. And to increase the temperature of the pan, I need to put a lid on. Just as this moment is happening, my meatloaf is pretty much done. I can see through. So I'm gonna take the lid from the pot, put it on top of the pan, and suddenly a sear becomes a braise. And a regular sear or stir-fry stew type of situation is now enhanced just by adding the lid on top. It increases the heat and also slightly the pressure inside of the pan, which makes cooking a little bit quicker, pushes those flavors into that tofu in a short amount of time. Over here, my meatloaf is pretty much done. Trying to check for pink juices that run out. Nope, pretty good. We're gonna take this out, let that cool for a second, take the steaming rack out, and we can start making soup inside of this pot. Again, the lid fits both the pot and the pan because we're only using 10-inch cookware here. Tofu comes out. I'm just gonna deglaze this real quick to get a little bit of a sauce. Pan sauce will go over the top of the tofu. Put this in the microwave to keep it hot. Classic mom technique. We finished braising the tofu and we made meatloaf and we have blanched the cauliflower. Again, what's awesome about this is that we're making home cooking a little bit more efficient without sacrificing flavor by building the whole meal around a pot, pan, and 1 lid. So the first thing to do for that soup over there is to make our little fish balls. This is in the recipe demo. I know it's a little complicated. Some of you might not have seen fresh made fish balls like this before. But think of it as Chinese fish quenelles. I have the sliver tofu from the tofu I didn't want to use for the braise, and I'm just gonna chuck that in there too. This is the same pot that we blanched in and we steamed in, and now it's just becoming a soup. This is the same piece of equipment, 3 different uses so far, and that means 2 fewer dishes to do. The lid is just gonna go on to help it boil. Meanwhile, over here, we're gonna start our stir fry. This is a clean, reset pan after the braise. Oil's gonna go in. We're gonna throw in our scallions and our Chinese sausage. I'm checking my soup. I'm seeing that the water's boiling. I'm gonna take this lid off and start putting some of my leaves from my vine spinach inside of the soup. Lid back on to help the spinach wilt. Cauliflower's gonna go in. Now, this cauliflower has already been blanched, so it doesn't need to cook so much, as it just needs to pick up a little bit of that wok flavor a little bit of that toasty stir-friedness. Since it needs a little bit more help with the heat, I'm gonna take the lid from the pot, put it on top of the pan, help that get just a little bit hotter to pick up some of that nice color on the cauliflower. Over here, my spinach is starting to wilt because of the steam when the lid was on. Move the lid back to the pot. This can probably come off now. There you go, there you have it. Amazing. What's wonderful is we don't have to waste anything. That water that we blanched our cauliflower in gives it a slightly nice green hue. Cauliflower and Chinese sausage, our braised tofu, 4 courses, all good with rice. We were able to do this in a very short amount of time because we have a pot and a pan and a lid. The lid is interchangeable because everything is 10 inches. Every single piece of cookware has multiple uses, whether it's a sear that becomes a braise, that becomes a stir fry, or a blanch that becomes a steam, that becomes a boil. Multiple different techniques with only 2 pieces of equipment.